Hard. Well, when I'm stuck for ideas, and we'll talk about this a little bit when I show you guys all about my presentation next, but I like to return to certain places that help me think of ideas. So the library helps me. That really always gets me thinking. I like to look at old books and maybe books that, like, it's exciting to look at other chapter books. I think that's cool, but I also like to look at really, really old books that are just pictures or books that are for adults. I think there can be fun things, so you can look outside of what you're trying to write. I like to go to museums. I think that, like, looking around and taking in lots of ideas is a good way to shake up your brain and think about new things. I graduated in 2015 from Pennridge High School, and I loved art. That's always been my favorite thing, but I really like writing too and storytelling. So I ended up going to Parsons School of Design in New York, where I studied illustration, because if you really, really love to draw, that feels like the major. You get to really draw. And what ended up happening was that I started to have ideas for projects. And by the time my thesis rolled around, I had already been interested in children's books because a lot of my ideas skewed in that direction. And I wanted to make a children's book for my thesis project. And I thought, well, I need a story to illustrate. So I wrote a story to go with it, and really it was, in my mind, just proof of concept, showing somebody that I could illustrate a book. But then it ended up being that I was like, wait, this story has some legs, and a few people had seen it and sort of encouraged me to start thinking about really getting it published. So it's one of those things that I think mentors and teachers along the way really encouraging me to believe that it could be something real is how it ended up being real, because sometimes you need somebody to remind you that it can be a real project. Yeah, and then it sort of grew into something bigger than itself, because it really did start as a school project. That's what the first spy book was, and then we rehashed it and it became something very different. It started as a picture book and now it's a chapter book, but that's how it ended up becoming real. And then now I'm writing more books and more illustrated projects. So it's really just been amazing to get to work on these.
And I get all my ideas for books, dreams that I have.
Oh, dreams. That's a great place to get ideas.
Because they're like professional and they like know what they're doing. They made really good books, and this is just an idea that I just made up, and showing this to a professional is just like amazing. The same as meeting Lionel Messi and like professional cellists. I get my ideas from dreams. This one day when I was in second grade, I just dreamt of a robot killing another robot. So that's where the idea came from. I've got a ton of other ideas. Like I've created a book called The Williamses, and it's 3 brother criminals. I invented a book about a monkey. I haven't written them all down yet, but they're in my head somewhere. I have a red notebook that I got from CVS, and I just write down all of my ideas in there.
So, I mean, visiting your elementary school as an author is sort of a dream moment, and it's been such a warm welcome. I haven't really been back since I left. I had a younger sister, so I was here sometimes for her, but this is the first time I've really been back at Guth. And we were just saying how normally I go in a place and everything feels really small, but I think because I went to school here, this all feels very normal, and I feel just like I was here a second ago. And the library feels the same, the gym is the same, and I'm just so happy to be here, and the kids were so great. And then for writing better, it's a lot of practice. So I think you can keep writing, but I think it's important to always get down a first draft and not worry about that being bad, because you can always edit it later. You know? Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, I think, there's so many things. There is something my mom used to say when we were really little that I didn't really get. And we'd be out walking and she would make us pause and be like, catch the spirits, where she would we'd just like close our eyes and listen and just try to be in the moment. And especially when I moved to New York, it was so busy and I was really overwhelmed. New York is very different than Perkasie. And it was really exciting, but I was really overwhelmed, and that was something I think I had to learn how to do that. And I thought of my mom telling us to catch the spirits and slow down. And I think that at any age, you know, when you're a kid, the world is really scary. You don't really know what's around the corner. Especially I think about 5th graders who are about to go to middle school. They're on the edge of something really fun and exciting, but you can slow down and just take a moment and find what brings you peace and happiness and draw from that. So that's another reason I've always come back to drawing. It's something that makes me feel very, very at peace. Reading makes me feel at peace, but that could be very different for every student. So I think that finding what lets them slow down, I think, is really important. And then we learn a lot about codes, because that's a big part of being a spy, is secret codes.
Because I'm also writing my own books, and I feel like if I go down the same path, then I might also be able to publish books, and this may also happen to me. And I'm more focusing on the future than right now, and I just feel like meeting an author can inspire me too.
That was where I started to think about spies, and also reading about the real spies that existed. They really got me wanting to write about spies. So that's sort of where the idea came from.
It's really fun. She's really fun, and it's really nice how much in common we have and how much in common she has with my family.
I think a big realization, and I tell my college kids this too, is that you really have no idea where your path is going to go. Even if you think you know, you really don't know. Even if you were like me, where you knew you really, really liked drawing, I had no idea I was going to end up writing children's books. And I have no idea what 10 years down the road is going to look like for me. And I think, especially when you're on the edge of something new, going to a new school, you know, as you get to high school, it starts to feel like a lot of pressure, like you're supposed to know everything. But graduating and college as well is really the first stepping stone of so many things. So I think you can trust yourself, try to find what brings you joy, but also it's not so much pressure. You have a whole lifetime of time to figure out what you really like. And I have to remind myself that too, because yeah, life can be scary. You never know what's coming up. So yeah, just trust yourself and keep going.